I asked for guidance, but I didn't recognise it when it showed up. I thought I was looking for one thing, but what I found was something else entirely. I'd watched the sleep process unfold. I'd watch the darkness and I'd watch its movements, and my body image started to fade away and I'd be left with just like a buzzing feeling in its place. I'd listen in on the audio senses, so I used to call it listening to the sound of silence. I was tuning in, and in the distance I heard like a child crying. As I was listening in, I heard a mother come to its aid, like to soothe the child. I was suddenly ejected into that space. It was that child crying that pulled me out that day. Looking back, it was more important than I thought at the time. So by this stage in my life, I'd started a business and everything was going well, and materially I had everything that you could want. Life was good, but there was some deep inner dissatisfaction which still sat with me. I felt like there was something missing. I didn't know what it was. It pulled me on a path where I knew the only way out of it was inward. And I'd been very focused on material life for a little while at this stage. But it left me empty, it left me hollow. And what I needed to do, I knew instinctively, was I needed to look within. I needed to go back internally and focus on my practices, because that's where I felt whole again. And I treated sleep as though it was practice. I put a lot of focus, a lot of intention into it. In doing that, obviously the frequency increased massively. It does when I'm in those intense phases of practice. So now I had the reliable access. That was when it really started to get interesting, because then I could pre-plan my journeys. I could decide what I wanted to do ahead of time. That's where it started to go up a notch. So I'd heard people talking about guides in the various forums and all of that, and I was kind of, to be honest, a little bit envious. I always thought it'd be great if I come across some sort of spiritual being that would show me wonderful things and give me this knowledge and all of that I didn't have. But I'd never been presented with anything like that. And I thought, the next time I go in there, I'm going to look for my guide and see if I've got one. So I was lying in my bed one morning, and it was just a normal morning, and I'd just sort of woken up, so I was still half asleep, half awake, and my bedroom door opened, and it was my middle daughter, and she just came in and shuffled through into my dressing area and headed down to our ensuite bathroom. And I sort of grumbled to her. I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Can't you go down and use your own bathroom? What's wrong with that? You know, why are you coming in here?" Because she'd woken me up, and it was just a bit grumpy, I suppose. And then I looked at the door as I raised my head, and on the door there was a load of newspaper taped to the back of it. And the headline on one of those newspapers was "Out of Body Experience." And I thought, well, if that's not a trigger, I don't know what is. And with that, instantly I'm aware of the situation. I know that I'm out of body. And I got up and I was stood at the end of my bed. I called out, "Show me my guide. Show me my guide." I called it straight out to the larger awareness, and hope that it would pick it up and it would deliver something to me. And with that, the bedroom door opened just ajar, and an older guy, he had brown hair, and he was wearing a bright red tracksuit top and glasses, and he just opened the door, and he was only there for a split second, and then he just ushered in my older brother, and then he shut the door behind himself and went. I thought, brother? So he's not my guide, obviously, but you know, I took it for what it was in the actual experience. And I turned towards my window, and in place of, I've got two windows on the bedroom wall, and in place of those two windows was one large panoramic window, and the sky out there was this sort of beautiful pink and purpley sky. And I just linked arms with my brother, and we flew out of the window into this space, and I just took him around for a little fly. And then we landed, and I was sucked back to my body. So I tried again, and I thought, right, stay still, go back in. So that's one of the things I picked up along the way. If you stay perfectly still, you can have these sort of multiple entries, and it's very, very easy from coming back from the first one. You just stay still, refocus, get back in. I stayed still, and I was back in again. And this time, I decided, right, let's go and find this guide. And I went to my bedroom door, and I opened the bedroom door. It wasn't my landing out there, I was in my grandparents' house from when I was a kid. So I went downstairs, and I went into the room on the right, looking for this guide. Where's this guide? Where's my guide? And in there's just a couple of young lads, and they were gaming. They were playing on a game console, and it was still dimly lit in there. And I thought, they're clearly not my guide. I thought, what's that got to do with anything? And then I went into the room opposite. So I crossed out and went into the room opposite. In that room, there was an older gent, and I thought, he just didn't seem very guide-like to me. I thought, he's not my guide. My guide would be some spiritual being or something, not just some bloke. So I gave up on him as well, and I went out and I thought, right, I'll get out the front door, see what's out in the street. I opened the door, and outside it was dark, and there was street lamps lighting the road. And underneath the street lamps I could see some people huddled under a lamppost, and one of them was on a bike, and there was another one stood there. I thought, I'd go and speak to them, find out if any of them are my guide. And again, it was one of those where I thought, they're not my guide. With that, I woke up. And this is the part that stuck with me. I was looking for guidance, but it didn't come how I expected it to. This time I decided I was going to stay still again. I was going to do exactly the same thing, re-enter and see if I could really find this guide this time. I wanted to find this guide. I was quite determined to find out if I've got one. I want to know who they are, and I want whatever message they've got for me. And this was where it started to get a little strange. So this time I came out of my body, and I went to my bedroom door, and I opened the bedroom door. And instead of stairs, there's a door on the left which led to a bathroom. And in that bathroom I could hear a kid crying, a little girl crying. And I opened the door and I went in, and she sort of huddled in the corner crying. And I sort of didn't know what to do. Put my finger up to her lip, and I went like that and just sort of went shh. And then she carried on crying. It's one of those ones that I remember going like this, and I sort of did a zip it sign across my lips. It was just shh, like that. And then I left. I thought, well, I'm going to find this guide. So I just left, and then I went out into the hallway, and as I went out into the hallway's dark. And either side there's images on the wall, and they're all like medical images of broken bones and various things that indicated some form of abuse. And I thought, this is weird. And I just carried on, and I carried on walking through the corridor, and I left, and I was still looking for this guide, and I went about some other stuff at the end of that experience. And then I woke. And when I woke, it hit me. And I was like, I just failed somebody in there. There was somebody who needed my assistance. There was a little being in there who needed my help. And I was just trying to silence her because I was going on about a pre-planned mission that I had for my own purposes, to try and find guidance, And what I'd done in doing that was I'd ignored somebody who needed help. And in a way, although I didn't meet a guide in person, I was given guidance. And in that moment, I made a silent vow to myself that I would never ignore anyone who needed my assistance when I was in there. If I ever came across anyone that needed my assistance, I would be there and I would help. Little did I know then where that vow would take me.